So good evening or maybe late afternoon. My name is Jarda. I work for IBM and I will be talking about IBM Bluemix and about something that's called Container Service within IBM Bluemix. And Container Service is basically an implementation of Docker containers. So first of all, a little bit of recent history. In December 2014, IBM has signed an agreement with Docker about strategic partnership. And under this partnership, there started a lot of initiatives between IBM and Docker. For instance, one of the initiatives was about IBM container runtimes in Bluemix. And this is basically what I will be talking about today. But this is not the only initiative that has been taking place since then. Also, I'm not sure if you know IBM UrbanCode. This is a piece of software that is used for orchestration and management of application deployment. For instance, you have an application with several components. You have different versions, and you want to distribute new versions, upgrade, and you have a demo environment, for instance, testing, some staging environment, production. And with the console of IBM UrbanCode, you can control all of this. And now IBM UrbanCode also supports Docker containers, both in cloud environment, this is basically in Bluemix, and in local Docker machines. Another initiative was about pure application systems, which is another IBM product. Basically, it's a kind of packaged private cloud which uses so-called patterns. You might know heat patterns from OpenStack. So this is kind of private proprietary IBM patterns. And you can graphically design a multi-tiered, multi-node application graphically and save this in a pattern. And basically within one click, you can deploy the whole topology, the whole environment in one click. And this also supports Docker containers as a kind of microservices that run within the Docker containers. And last but not least, IBM also tried to bring Docker containers or to provide a choice between various platforms. You know that Docker containers run on Linux on Intel platform, but IBM also has so-called power systems with power processor, Unix that runs Unix operating system, but it also runs a special distribution of Linux for power. And Docker containers also run on this hardware platform. And also System Z, which is the traditional mainframe, IBM mainframe, which runs natively, it runs ZOS operating system. Also a special distribution of Z-Linux can run on these machines, on these mainframes, and it also supports now Docker containers. So you have a variety of hardware platforms where you can use Docker containers. 2 weeks ago, on 22nd of July, June, there has been another announcement from IBM, and basically this was about general availability of the container services in Bluemix, which I mentioned before. And here you can see some basic functions of this implementation of Docker containers within Bluemix. And I will be talking in the next few minutes about most of these features that Docker containers provide in Bluemix. And the next day, 23rd of June, Docker has announced general availability of its flagship software called Docker Trusted Registry, which has been formerly known as Docker Hub Enterprise, which is a piece of software that you can install and use as a registry for Docker images. And IBM has already announced that it will become a reseller of the software, and also that will implement and integrate this piece of software into UrbanCode or pure application systems. Before starting about Docker containers and how they are implemented in Bluemix, I would like to spend some time on Bluemix itself, because I'm not sure if everybody knows what is Bluemix. Maybe does anybody heard before the word Bluemix? Okay, so that's really good that I have some slides about it. So Bluemix is IBM cloud platform. It's a public cloud. It provides a platform as a service kind of services. This means that you will get an operating system plus some infrastructure that supports applications. By infrastructure, I mean middleware. This is basically databases, HTTP servers, application servers, compilers, runtime environment, etc. So within Bluemix platform, you can order this kind of, let's say, service, and you take care only of your application code. Bluemix runs on SoftLayer. SoftLayer provides a hardware platform for Bluemix. SoftLayer is another cloud offer from IBM. SoftLayer is mainly infrastructure. It provides mainly infrastructure as a service kind of services. And on top of SoftLayer, there is installed a layer of Cloud Foundry. Cloud Foundry is an open software that has been developed by a Cloud Foundry Foundation consisting of about 30 companies led by Pivotal. And now there are several implementations of Cloud Foundry. For instance, Pivotal itself runs Cloud Foundry-based cloud in Amazon infrastructure, and another implementation on its own hardware, on its own data centers. And Cloud Foundry provides runtimes for application code. So how this works? Bluemix, besides this Cloud Foundry layer, Bluemix also provides a repository for application code. You have a choice between Git and Jest. Jest is an IBM product. And basically you create a Git repository in Bluemix, and you just push your code that you have on your desktop, e.g. Eclipse or whatever kind of tools you use, and you push the code into Git repository which resides in Bluemix. And this Cloud Foundry layer recognizes automatically which kind of code it is. It can be PHP, Java, Node.js, Go, Ruby, whatever, and dynamically start a runtime with the code, with your application. And basically within minutes, you get a running environment with your application, and you just get back a URL address, and you can access and directly test the application. Cloud Foundry is based on containers, but it is not Docker containers, it's Warden containers. On top of Cloud Foundry, you have something that's called services. There is a catalog of more than 100 services, and services you can bind to your application container and use the services that this service provides. Typically, these services can be databases, messaging system, analytics, and these services in the catalog are divided between IBM provided services. This can be IBM Analytics or Watson services. It can be third-party services like SendGrid or BlazeMeter, for instance. And it can be community services or open software services like MongoDB, RabbitMQ, etc. And you can bind your application code to this service. The service also runs in a Warden container, practically without any coding or with very low coding effort. So typically, you just push your application code to a Git repository, which is in Bluemix, and then starts. It could be a complex topology of application servers, database servers, and some services which are dynamically created. Last but not least, you can also connect the application that runs in Bluemix. You can connect to another cloud, or you can connect it to your home systems with data. For instance, you can either deploy your data in a database environment within Bluemix, or you can set up a secure connection to your premises, to your company, and use the data that reside in your environment. So this is Bluemix. How you can access Bluemix? You just type https bluemix.net, and you will just create an account. And after creating an account, you can immediately start using it and testing. There are 2 data centers nowadays in US and UK. Docker containers are currently implemented only in the US data center. Once you have an account, you have 1 month for free. So 1 month you can test whatever you like to test, and after this 1 month, you will be asked to provide a credit card number. But this does not mean that you cannot use it for free anymore, because when you start a service in Bluemix, it always starts with a so-called plan. And in this plan, there is stated which services you get for free and which services you have to pay for. Typically, you might get like 2-3 instances of something for free, or several hours per month for free. And if you exceed this number that's provided for free, your credit card will be charged. So you have to read carefully what this plan means, but you can use it for testing purposes for free, basically. Well, so this is how it looks like Bluemix when you first started. Well, I was somehow lucky, because 2 weeks ago, this was the announcement of general availability of container services. But 2 weeks after this announcement, IBM has changed the graphics within Bluemix. So when you open Bluemix now, you will get slightly different setups, slightly different images. And I didn't have a chance to change the presentation because it was already here. So this is an old design, but old, I mean 2 weeks ago, it was still new. And now you have a slightly different design, but still you will have all the functionality there, just arranged a little bit differently. So all that I will say today is relevant to the functionality. So as I said, this is a Cloud Foundry implementation. Cloud Foundry is an open software, and we have a Cloud Foundry here. But this implementation of Cloud Foundry has been enhanced. And now you have another possibility. You can use virtual machines. So if you are not satisfied with the modern containers that provides Cloud Foundry, you can use virtual machines. And virtual machines within Bluemix are based again on open software. This time is OpenStack with KVM as a hypervisor. And here in the middle is IBM Container Service, which is based on another open software. This is Docker. So basically you have three possibilities how to use Bluemix, how to start your application, either with Cloud Foundry interface, with modern containers, virtual machines on the stack, or IBM containers, which is Docker containers. So this is some general introduction to Bluemix, and now I will call specifically just about this Docker part. This is how the architecture looks like. It is an implementation of Docker containers, Docker engine, and all these green stuff there is IBM enhancement or something that IBM has added. First of all, you can run your containers either on your Docker machine locally or in cloud in Bluemix. So you have one machine and that you use, for instance, you have it on your table and you have push and pull images between Bluemix Container Service and between your local machines, run the images on your local Docker machine, build new images with a Docker file and push them to Bluemix and run them on Bluemix. On Bluemix you have a private hosted registry for your Docker images. When you provision a Docker container within Bluemix, it automatically gets an IP address. And Docker containers within Bluemix communicate with each other by using these private IP addresses. So there is just plain TCP/IP communication automatically between all the Docker containers. And besides that, you can bind a public IP address to your Docker container, and then you can access it from the internet publicly. For free, you have a pool of IP addresses that you can bind to the Docker containers. For free, you get 2 public IP addresses. All machines that run Docker within Bluemix are bare metal machines. No virtualization. So this has an implication on performance, of course. You also have a possibility to use, because the Docker containers and provisioning of Docker containers and all the management, administration can be done within a browser. I will show this a little bit later. But if you don't like browsers, you can use CLI which is called ICE, IBM Container Extension, that you install on your Docker machine. Is a package that is basically Python routines. And when you install it, you can use a command line to start, stop, and manage, administer Docker containers within Bluemix Cloud. You have a possibility to create persistent volumes and to attach these volumes to your Docker container. So you can easily exchange information between Docker containers by just mounting persistent volume. If you don't want to spend IP addresses, public IP addresses, you can use an HTTP root, which is basically that you provide to the Docker container just a name, host name, and domain, and you can use it without IP address, and then your pool of IP addresses stays intact, let's say. The default domain is mybluemix.net, but you can also provide your own domain, but you have to make some changes in your DNS system. There is an integrated monitoring of performance of Docker containers, and last but not least, you can integrate your Docker containers with existing services. I talked about the catalog of more than 100 services which run in Warden containers. So again, you can start your application code in a Docker container, and you can bind it by a couple of clicks to a Warden container from this catalog that provides some kind of services. That's basically the functionality, and now a couple of slides just showing what you can see, some screenshots. This is a dashboard. On this dashboard you have some folders which show Cloud Foundry applications, services, containers, and the virtual machines that you are using. Here, for instance, this is a folder containers. You have one application running in Docker container. Some details about this Docker container. And if you want to create a new container, you just click here on this plus, create a container. And you will get this wizard. Here you have a list of your images that you can choose from. These two here are images from a public registry for Docker images that is in Bluemix also, which is IBM here. IBM provides some, let's say, safe tested images that you can reuse. You can pull them to your machine and change and then push back. And here all these images that start with JASTX prefix, which is the name of my private registry within Bluemix, are mine, are images of mine that I created. So you pick up an image, you write the name of your container, you choose the size of your container, memory, CPU, and here you have a choice. You can deploy your container as a plain single container, or you can create a container group. And within this container group, you can type a number which says how many Docker containers will run within this group. And within this group, you basically have a kind of load balancing. It's a scalable group, and you can change on the fly the number of containers running within this group. You can add more groups or decrease the number. You can add more containers or delete some containers. This is for scaling the application. Currently, there is no automatic scaling within the scaling group, but it will be implemented in the near future. Currently, you have to manually increase or decrease the number of containers. Here you provide some routing, some domain and host name that you can use instead of IP address. HTTP ports that you want to have open. And here is auto-recovery. When you click this auto-recovery, then if a container crashes, the system automatically starts a new container, so that the number of containers within the group is always the same. And this is the second page of this wizard, and here you basically mount an existing volume, persistent volume that you have somewhere in Bluemix environment, and you want to use data. You provide a path where you want to mount it, and here you have a choice of running services that you can attach to this Docker container, and that's it. After your container is running, you can click on it. This time, this is the container group. You can see here that you have 2 instances running within the group. You can increase or decrease the number. You have some basic information about the container. Here you have memory utilization. By using this switch over there, you can switch between CPU, memory, and network. Here you have services that this Docker container is using, and application that's running within it. Here we are using some object storage service and cloud down to NoSQL DB. And when you click on instances over there, then you will have the 2 instances that are Docker containers that are running within this container group. And you can, of course, also delete the container group, stop the instances, etc. Pause the Docker container, restart it. Now, so this is containers. This is Docker containers, but it's nice to have a control over the whole life cycle of an application container. And this is DevOps services that you probably know. And DevOps services are implemented also in Bluemix environment. So we have something that's called delivery pipeline. So we have the control starting from the source code, which is in Git, and through build, stage, and test until production. And this is for why there are DevOps services in Bluemix that you can use also with your Docker containers. And this is how it looks like. This in the middle is a pipeline that I have designed for container services. You can have many blocks here. I have just 2. And within each block, you define how it behaves. You define what's the input to this block, what the block does with a new code, and what's the output, what happens when the code goes to the next blocks, etc. So typically with Docker containers, it's enough if you just push your new code to a Git repository. Then this delivery pipeline automatically detects there is a new code in Git repository, builds a new Docker image, stores the Docker image in a registry. Oh, it's here, registry. So it starts the image build service, and the image build service builds a new image and stores it in the image registry, then it goes to the next stage, and the next stage calls IBM Container Service, gets the image from the registry and starts a new container. And this can be done on the fly. That means, for instance, if you have a container or group of containers running with an old code, and you are finished with your new version, you just push it to a Git repository. It starts the containers with the new code, unbinds public IP address from the previous version, binds it to the new version, and deletes the old containers with the old code. So this is a kind of continuous delivery with Docker containers. And this is my last slide. Here I have an information about the CLI. The CLI is called ICE, IBM Containers Extension, and you use it on your Docker machine when you have installed Docker, support for Docker, and you just install a package that you can download, and basically it's Python routines. And we can divide these ICE commands into two groups. One group is Docker-like. So this is basically commands that you can use. They have the same syntax as Docker commands. So, for instance, ICE images will tell you what kind of images you have in your Docker registry. It's the same syntax as plain Docker command. There is only one difference. You have two switches, local and cloud. And if you use the switch local, then this command goes to your local Docker machine. And if you use the switch cloud, it goes to Bluemix. So instead of using ICE -- local, you can use instead just Docker, because it calls the Docker command. So you can list your images that you have either on your local environment or using Bluemix. You can run the containers, open the pods. You can, with PS, you can check what kind of containers are running. You can push from, you can pull from Bluemix registry. You can build a new image and you can push it back to Bluemix. And the other group of commands is the extensions, the real extensions, switches and commands that do not exist in Docker. This is a group of commands with IP here that are used to manage IP addresses, so you can bind or unbind public IP addresses, internet IP addresses to your Docker containers. You can request or release IP addresses from your pool of addresses, or list what IP addresses you have available. The other command is ICE group. With this command you can create, list, and control group of Docker containers. The next command is root. With this root command you can assign a host name and domain to your Docker container that can be used instead of IP address. Volume commands used for creating these persistent volumes that you can later map to your Docker containers. And this is just the way how to control your private image registry within Bluemix. So that's the end. So the aim of my presentation was to inform you that IBM has a platform called Bluemix that is targeted towards developers, that you can literally within minutes you can run your code just by pushing it to a Git repository on Bluemix, and Bluemix will dynamically create runtime environment, and that this Bluemix has implemented Docker containers, and you can use either browser-based GUI or command line interface to run it, and it's free for at least for 1 month, and you can just log in and test. So thank you, and I would be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
So you said you can run application and you can specify how many containers are running.
Yes.
Behind, right? And how do you say that? How to distribute the communication? I suppose you get five nodes or five containers running, and you distribute it by some DNS round robin. Can you do it differently? Did I want just something more like?
No, you cannot do this differently. Currently, it's a kind of round robin mechanism, and it's not based on DNS. It's an internal mechanism. Maybe it's on this first slide. It's an internal routing mechanism that's built in the implementation of containers. Here is something called Bluemix request routing. Mm-hmm. So it's really hardwired inside, and Bluemix just receives your request, and internally it knows where are the containers and how many containers are there, and it just distributes the requests round robin between all the containers.
That is an advanced configuration of a sort of square where you have an out collecting information, dispatching on the average user.
Information about.
Imagine that you have 5 containers that are running, 3 of them are in full load.
Yeah.
That arrive an HTTP request from outside, and they're going to address to the 2 that are not using, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So probably you have some sort of master communication between the 5 dockers that are going to address them and balance the request. I think it's something similar to the open square that Docker is using.
Yeah, well, that was my second question. If you're planning to support Swarm, because you get your ICE command line tool, but if you have Docker Swarm, you can just say, I want to connect to this cloud. I want to connect to just local Docker, or I want to connect to Azure. So you say, as a developer, you get the staging on Azure, you get I don't know, production on Bluemix, but you are still using the same simple one. So if you add this support, if you are working with Docker.
I'm almost sure that the support for Swarm will be implemented, but I don't know the details. Within the current announcement, you can see that there is the Docker Compose support, and Swarm is not mentioned here, but I don't know, unfortunately, I don't know the details. I will tell you, I work for several big IT companies, and IBM is very good in hiding the information even to its own employees, which would like to use it within my work. So I was also interested in this very much, because when I saw that this Docker Compose is implemented, I also wanted to know what happens to Swarm, or or machine, I don't know. And I tried to get this information, but I did not succeed yet. sooner or later it will happen, but it's not fully under my control. So I'm also interested in this very much.
A couple of questions from an ex-IBMer and now a developer. First of all, are you going to integrate this tool in the normal cloud for people? For example, most of my development is using Vagrant, so I can deploy the machine and the test in my personal environment with my PC and then push it around to Google APS. It's quite open to be integrated in the tool, the API and public or not?
So far, there's a possibility, the images are totally compatible with plain Docker. So you can have your own Docker machine and use the images on your Docker machine, provided using the Docker commands. And IBM Bluemix, IBM Bluemix use Bluemix environments.
So I can push my.
You can pull the image from Bluemix to your Docker machine. You can use a Docker file to change it somehow and then pull it back and run it within Bluemix. Currently, I'm not aware of any publicly published APIs to Bluemix. And well,
The last question is, what about integration with IX? I mean, one of your best products as IBM is IX that is running our machine. And from the experience that they had on it, most of the customers are using, for example, like Spear or MQ. That would be good to have Dockerized. There is any support for Spear or
yes, AIX is Dockerized. So when you, not AIX, but Linux for power.
That, yeah, because there is support not only for C and
Yes.
Linux. There is no idea to implement it on IX.
No, I have no information about this, and currently, and I believe it will be also like this in future, is to install Linux for power on power machines and run Linux, and that those projects are supported.
ABS and from Google to Kubernetes, all the code histories on GitHub, so people can play with it. The part that was added by IBM, are usable and downloadable. The green part that you have in the,
Yes.
so we can download the part and create a small, let's say, IBM file.
You can use Git inside Docker. You can connect inside Bluemix. You can connect Bluemix to Hub or GitHub, and you can also yes, if you can use your local repository, you can connect GitHub, you can create a Git repository within Bluemix, or you can use your Git repository on your machine. And just connect and pull. This is just a plain Git.
Now the question is a bit different. You implemented some additional stuff to run Docker inside the IBM cloud. This pipe is released publicly under GPL license, MIT license, or is closed source. If you, I'll explain myself. You added some additional command on Docker that are quite useful. Is open source or is closed source?
It's close. Recommendation is close. But I didn't mention that Cloud Foundry part. You can download from GitHub, for instance, some customized text. For instance, if you have support in Bluemix for certain runtimes, you can download these text in Cloud Foundry, in which it's called text. You can implement your own build tag within Bluemix. But this is not, but this is not about Looker. This is about Foundry.
Okay, thank you. So let's have 10 minutes technical break, have a water or coffee, and then we will come back to demo testing on the pair. Yeah, Děkuji za